Hi, it's Lauren. Welcome back to my craft room. I have a video today of an interactive card. This is using my Easy Lights as well as some old Lawn Fawn products. This is a light bulb stamp set that was an exclusive with Studio Calico that I don't even know how long ago, a very long time ago. I'll link something down below with a light bulb that will hopefully be similar if you want to try a similar technique. But this was just a card I was trying to make for Craft Roulette. It was literally the night before the deadline, or the night of the deadline, and an hour before it was due. And I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't participate this week in Craft Roulette. Let me see if I can make a card. So this is just a fun, quick little video. And right now I am going to be creating what my light will be shining through. So I grabbed a piece of vellum, and I'm going to be a little wasteful in paper here, guys, but that's just because I was on a time limit and I didn't care that I was doing things in the middle of papers instead of cutting them out nicely to not be so wasteful. So I grabbed a piece of vellum, I put some embossing powder on it, anti-static powder on it, and then I stamped this light bulb and a "You Light Up My Life" sentiment on the inside of the light bulb, and I did that with VersaFine and Onyx Black so I could emboss over it with black embossing powder. So now I am using my scan and cut, and what I did first was scan in my vellum with the light bulb, but I didn't cut it out. What I did instead was replace the black paper. I increased the margin so it would cut out around my light bulb, not directly on the line, but a little bit outside of it, and then actually cut it out of this black cardstock instead of the vellum. So that way I knew I would have a perfect cut around my light bulb. If you would like to see more details on how I did this, let me know down below in my description, or I'm sorry, in my comments, so I can do another video like this so you can see in more detail how I die cut around my light bulb. So now I need to cut my papers down to fit on an A2 size card. So I'm using my scrapbook.com stackable rectangles that are all A2 in related size. So the largest one is A2, but I used the one down from that and also the third one from the first. So that way I could die cut out my black cardstock with the second largest of my frames, and then die cut out my vellum with the third largest, so that way it would fit right behind my black cardstock and I wouldn't have to worry about lining up the edges. I want to add a little bit of shine to this black cardstock because it's so plain, so I'm grabbing my metallic watercolors and I'm using this more yellow gold, and I'm splattering this onto the black cardstock. I definitely could have done maybe a pattern paper instead of just black cardstock, but my brain was just thinking parameters and getting this done in time. So I'm going to set that aside to dry, and while that's drying, I flipped over my vellum and I'm using a yellow alcohol marker to color outside the lines of my light bulb. I'm just coloring so it looks like it will glow and it will extend past the lines, because one of the parameters for this week was to be outside of the lines. So now let's put together the light up part of this card. I'm going to be popping up my vellum, which is also a parameter this week, onto this white card base. And then of course my other two parameters were neutrals plus one color. So I have my yellow light bulb, and then the other one was lights. So I have this covered twice with a light stamp as well as a light up card. I'm using a glue dot to place my wires where I want them, so those three little lights will shine outwards in the card. They will be visible, but it's okay. It looks like a real light bulb with the wire inside. So now that I have my lights where I want them, I need to add some foam tape around my light, so that way the light will only be contained inside and around my light bulb. So I'm adding some thick foam tape. This is Heavy Doodle foam tape. I know it fits perfectly with the thickness of my Easy Light, so it's my go-to when creating cards with Pear Blossom Press Easy Lights. And I took off both sides of the release paper of my foam tape, so it's very easy to bend and curve around this light bulb. And I'm just going to keep going and making sure that I have a nice snug connection, and that way the light won't escape from this light bulb. It will only shine through the vellum when the card is complete. Now that that's done, I know I need to add foam tape around the rest of my vellum to pop up onto my white card base, but before I do that, I want to make sure that I have um, my mechanism in place so I know where to push on the card to make it light up. So I'm going to use another glue dot and I'm going to place it on the battery holder so that way I can glue it to the vellum. Normally I would glue this down to the card base and place the vellum on top, but since I'm doing all my work on the vellum, I need to make sure it's secure to the vellum. And then I just twist up the rest of the wires and I will hold them in place with my foam tape as I apply this around, and just making sure that it's all covered on all four sides and that it's really stable so that way when my card receiver pushes on the button, my card isn't going to be flimsy and get damaged. I peeled off all of the release paper and I am applying this to the center of that white cardstock base. That is an A2 size. I did die cut out with the largest stackable rectangle. So now I can see where my black and shiny paper is going to go, but I need to stamp a little push here sentiment. This is from You Charge Me Up from Fawn. I have this since there was a Chibitronic card kit, but they do sell this now, so I will link that stamp set down below. And I'm just going to emboss push here onto my black cardstock, and I knew exactly where to stamp because I place that black cardstock on top of my card base, use my finger to find the right spot, and then I use my anti-static powder to know exactly where to stamp. I went ahead and embossed that with some gold embossing powder, and I'm using a Swiffer cloth to just pick up that extra anti-static powder. So now it's in a perfect place. I can glue this down. I'm just going to add some wet glue to the back of my black cardstock. I'm not going completely to the edge because the vellum is die cut to be a little bit smaller and I don't want any glue to seep out of my edges. So now that my glue is on, I will center that, making sure my light bulb is perfectly centered on my black cardstock and it also is perfectly centered on my white card base. And now I can push the push here and my light is lighting up. So let me clean up my desk real quick. I'm going to turn off the light so you can see it light up. It's pretty poor video quality right here, but as soon as I turn it on, you will see that beautiful sentiment and those lights shining through. So I did it. I was able to submit my card with I think 20 minutes to spare. I made the deadline. So excited. I have been very consistent in my craft roulette posts, so I'm happy I made it this week. Here is a close-up of the card and also a close-up of the light turned on so you can see how fun this card looks. Very simple, but a lot of fun. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll click like, and if you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. As always, you can find everything I use down below in the description box. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye!